We have to start with the Kareem Hunt signing. We touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a move that makes sense. He's close. He's been in the area working out. I'm said he's in pretty good shape. I'm told he's in pretty good shape.
Although, I don't
yesterday there was someone here that said they weren't sure about that.
Does the person who told me he was unsure about his shape want to say it on the air or no? No, yes?
He's typing. So
Is it a guess or do they know it factually?
We ran into Kareem at the softball game, Greg Newsom's softball game a couple months ago.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Okay.
That's a couple of months ago. These guys can drop 15, You guys can drop that 15 in 2-3 weeks of intense
But he
training.
also knows that there's a difference between being in shape and being in football.
Yeah,
shape.
he's not in football shape. That's impossible.
Right. But I
He
think
hasn't played.
I bet you he'll be active this week.
I think he will too.
But he'll be active.
I think he'll be active. He'll probably be second or third in carries. I still think that the workhorse is going to be Jerome Ford.
Yeah.
He has to be active. You got to have at least 3 active during the game.
Well, you don't have to, but it's
advisable. You better.
It's advisable.
You better. I mean, just think if Pierre Strong wasn't active last
you're right.
it would have been just Jerome Ford.
So I imagine that he will be.
He will be active in this game.
By the way, are we okay? Are we just fine with any celebration now? Or does anybody think it's absurd that Jerome Ford runs 69.5 yards, Pierre Strong gets stopped at the goal line, on the next play he gets in from 1 inch, and then he's strutting around like he did something?
It's you know
okay
what?
with that?
It's an NFL touchdown.
Doesn't matter.
What I will say is,
I mean, Jerome Ford did all
my
the work.
style would be act like you've been there before, but if you haven't,
Yeah, that's true. It might have been his first touchdown.
I think
right?
it was his first touchdown. So
It is his first touchdown.
I mean, go ahead, go
Yeah, I
nuts
hear you.
for 1 touchdown.
That's fair.
But next time you get a 1-yard run, I don't want to see any of that.
That's only because Jerome Ford did all the work. So
know he
he should have gotten the touchdown.
Wasn't that like the most Browns thing ever that he was down on the inch line?
Right.
And as I'm watching, I'm going, oh, well, the next page of the Browns playbook says that we fumbled.
Yeah.
And we're not
Or
going to
they
get
decided
in.
to throw and you picked off in the end zone.
A pick 6.
y'all are sad.
We've been there for so long.
All right, back to Kareem Hunt. The reason that I like the Kareem Hunt signing, and I tweeted it out yesterday, I said that, one, he's from Cleveland, so that right there holds something there. When you get guys that's from the city and they understand, just the drought that you've been in and how things have been, you want to be the reason to change that narrative. It means a little bit more to you. And I know he's been here before, and things kind of was up and down last year with the way he was acting with his attitude. And I mean, listen, he was behind the man, Nick Chubb, so your carries was not great, and you didn't really have a lot of good moments last year, I think. But before that, I thought he had some time where he ran angry, and I think that's the thing that he.
That's what I like about him.
That's what he brings to this thing, because like I say, we talked about Pierre Strong after the 69-yard run from Jerome Ford. He got stoned on the 1-yard line, but then he ended up getting in. You get a guy like Kareem Hunt, which I was saying on the show yesterday, they needed a physical running back that could come in there and get those short yardage goal line plays, and I think he fits that mold. Also, what I really like about him is that he had a relationship with Nick Chubb. Like, him and Nick Chubb was pretty close. So he understands the magnitude of the injury, and he wants to make sure he honors his friend. So now you got 2 things.
I didn't think of that.
You got 2 things that he brings to this table that no other running back out there does. He's from the city, and he was really cool with Nick Chubb. So that means he's gonna run the ball with a purpose. You run the ball with a purpose. Like, if you honoring Nick Chubb, you gonna run that ball extra hard.
He runs violently. Exactly. He always has.
So I think that's why I think he's the best decision for this, and financially as well.
Right.
I'll give you one other thing. What's the one thing Kareem Hunt does better than Nick Chubb?
He catches passes.
Catches passes. That's one of his biggest strengths as a running back.
Yeah.
It's something that he's always been very good
Well,
at.
they say Jerome Ford was supposed to be. That's kind of the reason why he wasn't on the roster, because Jerome Ford could catch really well.
Right, but Kareem Hunt's done it. Jerome Ford.
Well, I tell you what, if that's the case, we need to put the screen game into our system, because we haven't seen that in a couple of games.
From your lips to the football gods.
Man,
or Kevin Stefanski.
Please get the screen game involved. You got 2 running backs now that can catch the ball out the backfield. Please give them the ball.
Yeah, that's the hope. I thought it'd be cool to do the best thing about signing Kareem Hunt and the worst thing about signing Kareem Hunt. And for me, the best thing, obviously, familiarity. I'll add your point in, because I think that's a great point. He has a relationship with Nick Chubb. By all accounts, the 2 are very close. And I think he will not, everybody tries their hardest all the time. But if there is another gear to find, he's likely to find it, because he's trying to honor a very good friend and now teammate in Nick Chubb. I think the worst thing about signing it, and I hadn't really thought about this, Bull, you've been driving this point really since the tail end of last season, when we were talking about, do they keep him, do they let him go?
Yeah.
And you kept saying his production is down. His production is down. And by my eye test, I don't see a different player. I see a player that gets the ball a lot less. And so on that note, I wanted to go back and look and see what he's done from a production standpoint from when he came in the league in 2017 to today. I just think it's good context for today's talk. First of all, this is what I love more than anything. He's touched the ball over 1,200 times in the NFL. He's lost one fumble.
Yeah, that's
I think that's we cannot afford to be giving the football away. So
good.
on that vein, you need your running back to protect the football. He does it as well as anybody. On the touch side of things, obviously his rookie season when he came in and shocked the NFL, he came in out of Toledo, and I remember week 2 of 2017, every fantasy owner was scurrying to pick up this guy they never heard of named Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
He had quite a splash, 1,300 yards running, 455 receiving yards, but a lot of opportunity.
Right.
I'll just give his average yards per carry as his career went on. 4.9 rookie season. Next year, 4.6. 4.2. 4.2. He was 4.9 in 21, which was back to his rookie season.
But last year was his worst, I believe.
Last year, he dropped a full yard per carry.
I thought he looked...
Lowest carries, by the way, of his career.
I thought, to me, I'm not an expert, but to me, he looked noticeably slower on the field. I did not think he had the same burst and athleticism that he had in the past. He still, but he wasn't terrible.
Right.
I thought last year he was more in the serviceable category.
Well, the numbers prove that out.
Yeah.
When I watched him last year, it was a big difference between him and Nick Chubb. And
yes.
And you know, we kind of talked about it a little bit last year, but we never went all the way in on it. And I think we're about to find out now that Nick Chubb isn't there how good he really is. I don't think that offensive line was really great last year because
they had some problems.
Exactly, and I think it showed when Kareem was in there. It was like Nick Chubb can make guys miss, and Nick Chubb's he's never gonna let the first tackle.
And he breaks tackles.
Exactly. Kareem Hunt, it seemed like when he got the ball, they was in the backfield and he just couldn't get away. He couldn't break the tackle or nothing. I think if this offensive line works together and creates the gap, I think he can still be effective because he runs the ball really hard.
Right.
But if you can't get your feet going, which Leroy talks about all the time, if I can't get my feet going, it's hard to get any production. And I swear when I watched him last year, it was a lot of like in the backfield.
Yeah.
As soon as he was touching the ball, he tried to make a move and that type of thing.
Tyvis, you're 100% right. The special backs, and Nick Chubb's one of the few. How many special backs are there? There's Nick Chubb, there's Derrick Henry, there's Christian McCaffrey. Who else is special?
Yeah, and by special, you really want to see it for 3 years. And with Jonathan Taylor, we haven't.
No,
he did
I'm
it
not
the
putting
1
him
year.
in that category.
Yeah, no, you're right, and he doesn't belong in that category.
Austin Eckler,
I think
maybe.
I would put Eckler. I would put
Eckler does too much. He just is a catch.
I don't know that he's a great pass catcher. I don't think he's a special runner. I don't know that he is.
He's just small.
I think he's a big offensive weapon.
To me, he is no doubt a big offensive. I think those are the three special backs: Nick Chubb, McCaffrey, and Henry. And those guys, the offensive line is almost irrelevant. Now, it's not completely irrelevant, of course.
Right.
You can't have 5 terrible offensive linemen. But those 3 guys can make up for mistakes of O-linemen more than any other player.
Doesn't Nick lead the league every year in yards after contact?
Yeah, Derrick Henry's usually second.
And Henry's number 2.
And
to me, that's a running back.
Especially at the tackle position. Listen, you look, eye test and PFF grades are both awful on Jedrick Wills.
Yeah.
Now, eye test, we've thought DeJuan Jones has been pretty good. The PFF grades say he hasn't been that good, which is okay. I mean, he's a rookie late pick. We don't expect him to be perfect.
Right.
And he was playing against T.J. Watt this past week. But that's what you're concerned about with both Ford and Hunt is that they're not going to be able to make as many guys miss. Nobody is, as Nick Chubb. So the running game, which will still probably be good. Well, there's no way it can be.
It's not elite anymore.
No,
I don't think you can say it's going to be elite.
That's the sad part about it. It's not what it used to be.
Right.
Because you remember just 2020, it didn't matter what running back was in there. That offensive line got that push.
So good.
And that running back looked phenomenal. Dearness Johnson, Kareem, Nick, everybody looked good.
Is anyone surprised they didn't call Dearness Johnson? Is he Jacksonville?
He's still in Jacksonville.
Are you surprised they wouldn't have kicked the tires on trading for Dearness Johnson?
Well,
you wouldn't have to give up much to get him back.
But you got to give up a pick.
Yeah.
sixth, seventh
I
round.
think
He's
they
their
just
third
decided-
string running back.
Jay, I
DPJ
think-
was a 6th round pick wide receiver, and he's like,
Well, how about we give him DPJ and they give us Dearness
that's,
Johnson?
that's
We'll call it a day.
absurd.
No, that's crazy.
That's
But
absurd.
Here's the thing.
Listen, after the way he let that punt go, it's
That's
not
a-
absurd,
that's
guys.
you
absurd.
Think, yeah, but he's
He
not
hurt the team
right.
Monday
but
night.
he's been a good player as a wide receiver.
But a serviceable wide
So
receiver.
did so did Jed Will, so did DeJuan, so
Well, I'm
did
not trading
Wyatt
those
Teller,
guys.
Yeah, yeah.
so did Deshaun, so did Kevin. It's a lot
But
of
the
that
bottom line-
list is very long.
Are we not seeing Cedric Tillman, though, because of DPJ? Because if that's true, the team's making a mistake.
Here's what you can read into this signing is that the Browns believe in Jerome Ford.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's still the guy. By all
is.
reports, he's still going to be the number one running back.
That they didn't go after Dearness Johnson. That they didn't go after Cam Akers.
Right.
That they didn't go after Jonathan Taylor.
I like
It tells
Jerome
you
Ford.
they
I think
believe in
Ford's a
Jerome
very good
Ford.
player.
I thought he played well in this game. Yeah, there were a handful of carries, especially when he first went in, that were 0 and 1 yard. Probably none of those were his fault.
Well,
it was the offensive line. But he made some good, even in the fourth quarter.
He
Besides
had a
the
nice run in the
69-yard
fourth quarter where he should have been tackled at the line.
Yeah.
And he got like a 15-yard pickup or
He
whatever
had
it was.
3 rushes in his last 7 carries that were 6 or more yards. I mean, that's pretty good.
He's getting the benefit of the doubt coming in because, like I told you yesterday, if
Yeah.
I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm not worried about that.
No.
I'm not worried about that.
But no,
so
it doesn't
so that
matter.
means he could come in and just electrify
So, Ty,
the game.
On that point, defensive coordinators aren't worried about that. Really, we said it yesterday, and it's the mantra for the rest of the season. I don't care what anyone says. All eyes on 4.
Yes.
That is the bumper sticker for the rest of the season. Because our running game, which was elite, and now we all agree is no longer elite. How good it's going to be is a question, but it's no longer elite. What does that do to the degree of difficulty for Deshaun Watson finally returning to Deshaun Watson Houston?
Well, how well
Because defenses now can load up on the pass.
he didn't really have a good running game in Houston, right? In 2020. So
It was very bad.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah, but he had one
He
here.
never had a good running
Right.
game.
He had one here, though, and hasn't been
But I'm
that
saying,
guy.
Tyvis, let me throw this at you. Could it be crazy? Almost sounds like the Browns defensive back coach last year. What I'm about to say.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
No.
Don't say it because I know what
we
you're
were
about to
not
say.
ready for their backup.
Is it possible
that he's about to return back
that
to
there's
4.
a part of Deshaun Watson, like with Nick Chubb here, you still got to run the ball a lot because I got a great back. Maybe there's a part of him that's like, I got to put it all on me now. I got to do
but
this.
Didn't we see that in the second half?
I'm about to
against
say
Pittsburgh?
that was last.
Okay.
And the sample size was short, but it was not good.
It didn't go well, but now it's going into a whole week of preparation
Where they can game plan for it.
right?
Okay.
Where it's like, okay, we were already more focused on the passing game than we've been in years.
Yeah.
Now it's another level.
Well,
That's not as crazy as the Browns defensive backs
That's
coach
true.
last year saying, we just were not ready for Chase and Higgins to go out of the game.
well, let me
it
give-
really threw us for a loop.
Let me give the people a tease. Later on in this show, we're going to show a couple of plays where Deshaun Watson has some errors and some mistakes, and I'm going to point them out for you and tell you how he can get better.
Wow.
So
Hey.
make sure you stay
Ty's
tuned.
going to quarterback play
You stay
today.
tuned for what I got. And yeah, I got a defensive play in there too because I got to show my defensive guys some love. But
All right.
later on in the show, I got you.
That's